Hi everyone, welcome back to Life with RA Plus. Last week we talked about some of my struggles with rheumatoid arthritis, and today I'll be sharing part 2. Wednesday was the first day of fall, so I had to bring out my pumpkin spice latte candle. Although I don't even like pumpkin spice lattes in general, I just can't get with that program because it just don't taste good to me. But I like the smell of it. So last week I left off on seeing an orthopedic. But before I get into that, I wanted to share some more of my struggles that I had during that time where I didn't see a doctor. During that time, I kind of had a lot of breakdowns because I wasn't able to do a lot of things. And, I still try to keep positive, but, there were times where I just wanted to give up. I'm glad I didn't. And that's why I was telling you guys in the last video to don't ever give up. So, some of my other struggles that I had were um, I wasn't able to wash my hair. My boyfriend or my little sister had to come and help me wash my hair. They had to help me get out of the tub, because I couldn't lift my leg up high enough to get out of the tub. Sometimes my little sister even had to help me get off the toilet, even because my knees and my hips were just in such bad shape that I couldn't pull myself up to get off the toilet. And I didn't want to sit on anything that was too low because I knew I was going to struggle to get up from. So, like couches or cars, it was just so hard for me to get up and down from sitting that I needed a lot of help. When I moved in with my boyfriend, there were some stairs that I had to go up to take a shower. So some days he even had to carry me up the stairs and carry me back down the stairs. So it was definitely a tough job for, my little sister, my boyfriend, even sometimes my mom had to help me, even though she was dealing with the same thing. While going through these struggles, I had to find ways to adjust. So putting on my pants was hard. So what I did was, because I couldn't lift up my foot to put my leg into my pants. So what I had to do was I had to lay my pants down on the floor and wiggle my feet in. And I had to keep wiggling until I could bring my pants up high enough to where I could bend down and pick them up. I couldn't just leave somewhere in a hurry because it took me about 10 to 20 minutes just to get dressed, depending on the type of season it was. My body was in more pain during the wintertime because it's cold, and I had to put on more clothes. So at first, I was still able to put my hair in a ponytail. I was still able to put my shirt on regular. And then eventually, my arms just gradually started to become more, my shoulders became more, I guess, inflamed to where I had to bend down to put my shirt on over my head. I couldn't put my hair in a ponytail anymore. My boyfriend or my little sister or my mother in law, even, I had a lot of help. Thank God. I had a lot of help and they were there. My family was there for me. My boyfriend's family was there for me. So they were able to help me either put my hair up. I remember one time I got out of the shower and my boyfriend was at work and his mom had to come and help me get out of the shower. It was so hard, because at that time I wasn't living with my mom anymore. So, my sister wasn't there to help me or my mom wasn't there to help me. So my mother-in-law had to come and help me get dressed from getting out of the shower. And it does put a it does put a damper on your pride. It puts a damper on your ego, because you're like, I should be able to do these things. I should be able to get myself dressed. And there was just so many other obstacles I had to overcome. Um, putting on my shoes, I had to make sure they were slip-on shoes. For a while I was wearing Crocs because and this was before Crocs were actually in. So when I used to wear my Crocs, a lot of people told me like, what kind of shoes are those? But they were comfortable and they were slip-ons and they helped me, because I didn't have to put socks on. If I didn't need to put socks on, of course, my boyfriend would help me put socks on or whoever was there would help me put my socks on because I couldn't do it. To put my shoes on, that's why I had to make sure they were slip-ons. And if I had to wear tennis shoes or boots because it was raining, my boyfriend would have to bend down and help me. So I thank God for my family and his family every day because, without them, I wouldn't have had the help that I needed. Other struggles that I had were my wrists. So my wrists and my elbows. So I can't, even now, I can't turn them the way normal people can. to get change from someone if I pay with cash and they give me change. It's hard for me to put my hand out so they can put it in my palm, to grab things out of a drive-through, or, to grab a big load. Even still now, it's difficult for me to do. But I manage, I can do it. It's just hard sometimes. So I really overcame all these obstacles. I did have a lot of help, like I said, and I'm very thankful for them. My little sister, my oldest sister was a full-time worker. She's always been a hard worker and a mom. So when I did hang out with her, she was always there to help me too. I know I always talk about my little sister, but that's because we lived together, and my oldest sister was already living on her own. But of course, she helped me too when she was there, when she came to visit me, or I went to go visit her, she was there to help me. And I during my time off work, I watched my nieces, because they weren't old enough to be in school yet, so I would watch them. But they were old enough to, kind of fend for themselves. The oldest one definitely helped me a lot, my poor Juju. She, even now to this day, she helps me, if I can't open a jar, she's there to help me. So, like I said, I'm very thankful for my family. They've always been there, and I couldn't be more grateful for them. So during the time of my struggles, my mom suddenly passed. I'm dealing with a broken heart. I'm dealing with a broken body, being physically and emotionally broken. And I tried to stay positive. I didn't want to go into a depression. And so I tried to stay as positive as I could. You think about your parents being there for a lot of the journeys in your life. And it was so hard because it was a lot to deal with. And when I was finally able to see the orthopedic, they had scheduled me an appointment, and it was 3 weeks after my mom had passed. And I rescheduled that appointment because I didn't want to go because I wasn't ready. So they rescheduled me for another appointment a month later, and I went to that one. So when I saw the orthopedic, they did the x-ray and they said, "Oh, you're definitely going to need surgery." So I was like, okay. First, I was like, oh, thank God, like I'm going to have some relief for having this surgery. Another crazy story in between. 3 days before I saw the orthopedic, I stepped on a sewing needle. I didn't even know it was a sewing needle until, like, my boyfriend checked it out and he found the other piece, and he said it was a sewing needle. So when I stepped on it, it broke in half. So half of the sewing needle was in my foot and the other half had broke off. And luckily he found that piece, or else we wouldn't have known what it was. So when I go see the orthopedic, they tell me, "Are you walking like that because of your hip?" And I said, "Well, one, yes, in part because I can't walk regular. And two, I stepped on a sewing needle, and when I went to the emergency room, they couldn't take it out." So when they did the x-rays, they also did an x-ray on my foot to make sure it was a sewing needle. And of course it was. And so after they told me I was going to need surgery, they said, "We're gonna help you get that needle out." So I was like, thank God. So I wasn't only in pain from my hip, I was also in pain because I stepped on a darn sewing needle. So they numbed my foot with some medicine, but it wasn't a syringe. So they gave me a shot in my foot, and it was a little pinch. It wasn't too painful. But even though they gave me that numbing medicine, I could still feel them like prodding. I don't know if that's the word, but I could feel them digging the, I wanna say pliers, because that's what they look like, the pliers into my foot to get that needle out, and it wasn't painful, it was a little uncomfortable because I can feel the pressure, and I just feel them like if somebody was digging, but you don't feel it. It's weird to explain, but they got it out, and, when I went back, because they sent me back to the room, they gave me an appointment for a surgery. And I said, "Oh my gosh, that is so fast." So I see them in May, and then they tell me that I'm going to have a total right hip replacement in July. I couldn't believe how soon they scheduled me for surgery. So during that from May to July, I was so excited because I was gonna have some type of relief and I was going to be pain-free. So in July, I have my right total hip replacement done, and I was in the hospital for a week. I was only supposed to be there for 2 days tops, I believe, but there were some complications. So after I got out of surgery, they put me in the recovery room, and then I was able to see some of my family members. Of course, this was before COVID, it was 2017. So I was able to see some of my family. And when they take me to the room, I'm there, they give me my medicine. And then the next day, the physical therapist comes and I have to get up and walk. So they want you up walking right away. So when the physical therapist came, she wanted me to get up and start walking. I couldn't start walking, but I was able to get up. I got up, I stood up, I took a couple steps like to the left, to the right, but then I had to sit down. So she said, "Okay, that's not where we want to be, but tomorrow we can try again." So the next day comes and she gets me up and she's like, "Okay, we're going to walk." So I said, "Okay." She gives me the walker and I start walking. And so I'm doing okay, I feel okay. And then all of a sudden, I had to go to the bathroom. So she takes me to the bathroom. She waits out in front of the door, but she leaves it a little open, just in case anything happens. And I told her, I'm not feeling good. And I just got so lightheaded and so dizzy. And all of a sudden, I just remember um, her pulling the plug. How they have a plug in the bathroom to call an emergency? So I remember she pulled the plug, and I remember opening my eyes, and there was, like, 10 people looking at me in the bathroom still, and just to mind you, the bathroom is, like, this big, but this lady, I'm guessing she was the nurse because she wasn't the physical therapist, and the nurse was standing in front of me. She had another nurse behind her, another nurse to the side of her, a male nurse looking over, the doctor coming in, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm still on the toilet. Like, oh my God, what happened?" They're telling me, "How do you feel?" All of us, then they put the oxygen mask on my face and they're saying, "Are you okay? Can you breathe?" And so I'm nodding, yes, I'm okay now. Well, now. And they said, "Okay, when you're feeling okay, we're gonna get you up and get you to the bed." So I said, "Okay." They gave me a little bit of juice. They said, "Just take a sip just to get the sugar. You don't want to drink too much so fast. So just take a sip, and hopefully my blood sugar will come up." So they checked my they checked my iron levels, and my iron was down. I think it was like at a 6 point something, and regularly your iron is supposed to be at 13. Um, and so they said, "Okay, well, we need to give you a blood transfusion." So I said, "Okay," I had to sign the papers. They come in with the bag of blood, and they end up giving me 2 units of blood. So it's like two of those bags of blood. I was so embarrassed because, all those people are looking at me in the bathroom, and then the doctor comes, and, you know, I'm just gonna say this because I swear all the orthopedics, I swear it's a requirement for you to be so darn good looking to be an orthopedic because those doctors were so good looking. And it's embarrassing because, it's like a supermodel looking at you and they're saying, "Are you okay? Can we do anything for you?" And I'm like, "Okay, I know you saw me naked during surgery, but I was unconscious, so it doesn't really count. But to have you see me on the toilet, passed out, is a different story." So after that, they said, "Okay, we're going to give you the 2 units of blood and we'll see how you're doing tomorrow." They said you should be done by 9 o'clock in the morning and we'll check your iron levels then. And if your iron levels are up, then we'll try and get you walking again. So I said, "Okay." Of course, they gave me all my medication, still blood thinners, um, pain meds. I didn't really want pain meds, so they gave me anti-inflammatories. And the next day comes and they check my iron, and I think it's at a 9. So it's still low, and they tell me it's too low. we're going to give you another unit of blood. And they said, once you're done with that unit of blood, we'll check your iron again and hopefully we can get you up and walking. So after the unit is up, they checked my iron and it went up to, I think, a 10.5 or something like that. So they said, now that it's a little bit more higher, it should go up on its own. So to just keep eating as much as I can, like the hospital food, because it's so great. And your iron should go up. And so that's what I continued to do. So I was in the hospital for about a week. And by the time I get up and walking, it's like the fifth day and I'm able to walk. And when I first started walking, my leg felt so heavy. And I know it's because I have a big metal joint in there. I just had surgery, so it's very traumatic to the body. And I remember my leg just feeling so heavy. And they said, you have to bend your knees when you walk. So I'm trying to bend my knees, trying to walk regular. And mind you, because I was waddling for so long, that the bottom half of my leg was kind of outwards. And they said once I start walking regularly, the bottom from my knee down will go back to regular and it'll straighten out. So I was glad that they told me that because I thought I was gonna be I thought my leg was gonna stay out like that. And it was hard for me to walk regular because I had been, swinging my leg out for so long that that's what I was used to. So it was hard for me to remember to bend my knee. And then you have all these precautions. So before you sit down, they want you to put your leg out and then sit down. You can bend your other knee and bend your other hip, but that leg that you had surgery on needs to be forward before you sit down, and you need to bring it forward when you stand up. And the other precautions are you can't bring your leg up so high, it can't be past a 90-degree angle. You can't cross your legs. You can't twist towards your operated hip because when you twist, it brings your hip inward and they don't want that. So the sixth day lands on a Sunday and they come in and they say, okay, well, if your iron level continues to stay up, we'll release you on Monday. And I said, thank you, sweet baby Jesus. I was ready to get out of there. I was tired of the hospital food. My poor boyfriend and my grandma, because my grandma came from out of town. She doesn't live in California like I do. And she stayed at my sister's. My sister's place was an hour and a half from the hospital that I was at. So my poor grandma had to drive every day to come see me and be with me. My visitors, they had to drive away because where I got my surgery was not a local place where I live. So everybody had to travel in order to come see me. So I was just so ready to go home, come to my bed, and they told me when we release you, you have to sleep with, well, even in the hospital, I had this cushion that had to be Velcroed to my legs so I wouldn't cross my legs or turn on my side while I was sleeping. They said once you start to feel a little bit better, you can sleep with a big pillow between your legs in order to sleep on your side. So I said, okay, can't wait till that day comes because I was tired of sleeping on my back. And when I got home, that was one of the precautions that I broke because I did have a big pillow and I was used to sleeping with the pillow between my legs anyways because that was the only way that I was able to sleep before I had my surgery. So I finally was able to sleep on my side. I had to go to physical therapy and I went to physical therapy for 3 months, 4 months, I think. I had physical therapy and it was twice a week. And so what they had me do was first he would warm me up. He would lift my leg up and, just kind of just move it around, get it warmed up. And then he would have me do squats with bands. He would have me sit down, get up without, putting my leg forward because I was at that point where I didn't need to do that anymore. I should be getting up regular now. So I had to practice that. I had to practice going upstairs. I had to practice going downstairs. He put me on a workout bike. So I had to ride the bike and, make sure my hip was moving. So it was kind of fun. I enjoyed physical therapy. In the beginning, it was a little difficult because, you had this operated hip, and I think it was like the first 2 weeks, so the first 4 sessions, I was coming home sore because my hip wasn't used to moving like that. So I was definitely sore for those 4 sessions when I would come home, and we eventually worked our way up to resistance bands. So doing squats with resistance bands, walking side to side with resistance bands. Darla, shh, Darla, my dog is snoring. She's a big mama. That's why she snores like that. Are you good? Man, she acts like she had a tough, long day at work. So physical therapy was fun for me. So in September, I found out I was pregnant, and that was exciting for me to find out because I had wanted a baby for so long and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to carry because of my rheumatoid arthritis. And so in my next video, I will share with you all what it was like to be pregnant while dealing with my RA. So I hope you all stay tuned by hitting that notification button. I hope you like and subscribe to this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.